In 1972, I became one of Halston's house models, muses, and eventually a Halstonette. During that time, I was constantly collecting sketches, photographs, and designer clothing. It was Halston's idea to connect me with Joe Eula, who was one of his collaborators and close friends. Joe was the main artist for Halston images, ads, and fashion shows. He was also a major illustrator for Vogue magazine. When I first met Joe at the Jimmy Rita party, it was love at first sight. Upon entering the party with Stephen and Dennis, I could hear this deep, booming voice saying, "There she is, my Halston girl." We started that very next day in what Joe called his warm-up session at Joe's fabulous apartment on 54th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue. The first outfit I wore was one of Halston's midi skirts, wrap top, and flat ballerina shoes. I started to move around the floor and extend my front leg strongly forward as a dancer, keeping the movement slow but in a commanding style. Once Joe would say, "Stop," I held the pose for a few minutes. This was when he would sketch the details. He was able to hold the flow of the fabric and catch the movement in his sketch. Halston's style was about movement in the body, which conveyed the elegance and the design of the clothing. For me, it was key to understand your body pose according to the design. Some of the looks were bold and youthful, like Halston's The Skimp, and others were ethereal, like his chiffon evening dresses, or chic and modern, like his cashmere dresses and coats. For over 10 years, Joe's illustrations established the signature look of Halston design. The imagery that he created in the numerous Halston projects he worked on as a consultant included Halston fragrance, fashion, and home ads. He also worked with celebrities like Liza Minnelli, Martha Graham, and more. You might say during that time period, Joe and Halston were so like-minded that they almost seemed like Siamese twins. Joe used charcoal pencil, ink, or watercolor to create exquisite images capturing the line of the design and the subject's movement within mere seconds. His chic style was so outstanding it was non-compete to a runway photograph. Joe Eula once said, "I was considered the fastest pencil in the field. A mannequin needs only to do her turn down the catwalk at a fashion show and voila, an illustration." In the early 70s, Joe Eula's illustrations were constantly in American Vogue and other fashion magazines. Joe Eula was the creator and illustrator of all artwork for the prestigious Vogue Trend seminars. At that time, Halston and Joe were convinced that I could become a Vogue model, so Joe would bring me up during the Vogue seminars and insisted that I be his model for the drawings. By being in this environment with Joe, it caught Grace Mirabella, the editor-in-chief, and Vogue editors' attentions, and so I quickly became one of their Vogue models. This especially thrilled Halston, as I always wore his designs up at Vogue. During this time, the fashion process was so fascinating, especially when you had both Joe Eula and Halston as your mentors.